Hey Jack, Ben with America's Baseball Camps, just going through your video analysis work for your swings at camp, and found a couple things to work on, so just wanted to discuss those with you and review them with you over the email and over YouTube here to get started and go through some things that I think you can work on. Thanks for coming to camp, and let's go ahead and get started here. So when we talk about in regards to your stance, I really like your stance and your setup. Your legs are nice and straight towards the pitcher. You have good stance in regards to your knees being apart past your shoulders. I like where your hands are. I like where your eyes are. Good posture with your back, so everything's in a good spot. I would like to see a little bit more flex in the legs. I think it's going to get you more power in your swing, so something to try to work on in regards to getting more power in our swing. But overall, in regards to our stance from our start, in pretty good shape. A couple things I did see in regards to working on your stance and when you do land foot is the next phase of what we're going to talk about, is more that land foot kind of thing. So once I go this video here, one thing I'm going to first talk about is this lower arm. And you can see what happens on this lower arm is it's getting stiff too early. We call it casting. It's very important for this arm, if I back up here a couple frames, very important for this arm to make sure that it stays nice and bent and has an angle in it, just like when we start in regards to the start of our swing, to have some type of an angle. And you can see there's a little bit of bend in the arm, and we want to be able to try to keep that as long as possible, compared to we call it casting. If that gets kind of firm too early, it's going to make us long to the ball and long through the ball. And we want to be short to it, and we call it short to it and long through it. So what we need to make sure when we go to swing is that keeps a nice bend in that elbow. You can see right now as I go to swing, it's already straightened out. And what that's going to do is it's going to make us late on pitches, on guys that throw the ball really hard. It's going to take power away, and that's no good. We don't want to do that. So what you want to do is at this point of our swing, you still want to have some good angle in our arm, and you don't want to have that thing locked out until contact or before contact, right before contact, but not have it done this early, and that's going to create casting issues where I'm not going to be able to be short to it and long through it. I'm going to be long to it. So what I suggest you do as a drill is get a t-ball bat or a wiffle ball bat with some wiffle balls, create some good angle in that arm, and just kind of rest that arm on that shoulder so you have a nice bend in that elbow, and then basically just take it off your shoulder and just have it go right to the baseball. And what that's going to do is it's going to get you the habit of just being really short with my swing. So that's something really to look for. And what you can do is you can stand in on pitchers, or you can hit off the tee, but really focus when you do your land foot. When you take that stride, make sure to check out yet that lower arm and see if it's already locked out, because that's very important to not have that locked out too early. The other thing you'll see as I go to swing, you can see how almost like a golf finish, and I'm not sure if you golf at all, but when you go to swing, you have that lockout almost like a golf finish of that arm where your hands begin to drop. Now obviously it's a low pitch, but we do want to make sure that we have a tendency to get ourselves to get locked out in towards the front foot and not have it lock out too soon. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this to go into the next swing here, because that's a tough one in regards to that pitch. But that's something to really focus on when I finish. Is this brings up a good point to make sure that we're swinging at strikes, but obviously anything that's going to be kind of in between the knees and the chest, that's going to be more of the strike zone. And if it's in that area, you want to make sure that the only thing that goes to the ball is your hands. You'll notice even if I back up on a low pitch where we wanted to go down and try to get the ball. Now obviously that's a tough pitch and that one's pretty low, but you can see if I get it right to contact that your eyes started way up here and you took your body down to go get the ball. But a good rule of thumb is if you have to go get it, it's probably going to be a ball. So just something to be aware about in regards to that for your swing here. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the next swing here. One thing I do want to do on our start is let's start with our hands a little bit higher, you have a tendency, if your hands are going to be low, then I'm going to work more uphill. And if your hands are up here in the circle, then you have a tendency to work downhill to the ball, is what you want you to do, is really to work downhill. But if you have your hands and you lock it out, tendency what happens is if you lock your bottom arm out, you're going to have a tendency to work uphill. And if ever for hitting, you want to be able to drive the baseball and not lift the ball. So I think in driving the ball, you're really going to work on working downhill to get those hands a little bit higher in regards to my swing when I go ahead and get started here for that. So going into this next pitch, one thing I did notice again is that arm, just making sure we really got to work on that arm to not lock that out. But going into our lower half, I want to get you a little bit stronger on your lower half, more in your legs. So this one's a strike. And what happens is we're a little bit too forward with our body. So what we do is I want to take this foot at contact, and I want to take this foot and I want to kind of put it back here a little bit more. And this is going to get this knee back to about here. And if I draw a line up from your knee, I want your head back in this position better. What you do is you always draw a line from this knee and go up. That's called your power line for hitting. And you can see here that you want your front foot to stay in that same spot, but I want your head to be more in this area. So if I take your red helmet, I want your helmet to be inside this green circle compared to having it more forward a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a lot more power when I hit. Your head's on the baseball, and that's good. You have a palm up, palm down position. You did hit this one, but you'll notice how you are a little bit up. If I draw that straight line from your head all the way down, you're a little bit forward. So instead of here, if I draw that straight line, you're kind of angled up here. I want you to kind of bring that foot or your head where it's going to be back on that line, and that's going to be important for you to be consistent. What I would do is at the end of your swing, I would hold your finish, do a lot of tee work or a lot of soft toss where you can kind of hold that finish and see how you end up at the end. So you can see at the end of our swing, again, a little bit on the front side, but you can kind of hold your finish and check yourself. You should be able to look just down that back leg and have you want to have a lot more weight back. You probably have 80% of your weight on your front leg right now, whereas you want it to be about 60% max on your front leg to make sure that you have all the pounds you have into the baseball. So if you're 60 pounds or 80 pounds or whatever you weigh, you want every pound of that ball, every pound of your body into the baseball when I make contact. So that's just a definitely an important thing to work on here. And going into looking at one more swing here. So remember, start with those hands up. Don't drop those hands. Looks like you have a little bit of separation in there, so when we go to swing, you can see how your hands kind of drop. Always make sure whenever you start that your hands start nice and above those shoulders. You don't want them to start down and then bring them up. And just get them, as I freeze frame here, just get your hands up towards your ears and just leave them there. Keep them nice and quiet, keep them nice and high, but you want to leave them there because if the hands are high, I'm going to be able to work downhill like on this screen. If they're not, you're obviously going to have an angle of your swing plane that's going to work more uphill. So just make sure that you have a nice quiet hands and you keep them there. The other thing you'll see at this point of our swing is our legs are a little bit straight, and I want them to be a little bit more bent. Again, we're trying to get more power out of your swing and making sure that we're more consistent, and that's going to make a big difference in regards to that. So this one, when we do land foot here, we get the contact. This one's a little bit better. Your foot is a little bit deeper back, but again, you can see how that arm really locks out too early. And you can see at contact how it's completely locked. I want it to look like that at contact, but you can see that the ball is not there yet, and you really don't want to have that lockout, almost like that golf finish in regards to our swing. So something very important to work on, that one-handed drill with a really small bat would really help you in regards to that. So lower half is a little bit better. Head gets a little bit sideways at contact. You can see that head being a little bit sideways. I always try to focus on having a Coke can balanced on my helmet, and if that head kind of moves to the side like it is, then obviously that drink's going to fall off. So watch this video over and over again and jot down these things that you need to work on. You can always reference back to this but holding your finish and tee work and the one-handed drill, and just really focus on where you need to be, to where your head needs to be at contact, where you need to finish, and this is going to make some huge parts to your swing and make you just that much better of a hitter. And we appreciate you coming to camp, and hopefully you'll come back and see us real soon.